As this crypto bull market progresses, it is clear that Bitcoin is a major narrative, and Bitcoin DeFi will not only contribute to Bitcoin, but to these markets as a whole. I mean, with BRC20 tokens and Ordinals becoming a reality literally by accident, we now have what the equivalent of ERC20 tokens and NFTs are, but on Bitcoin. We came a long way because we had a war. We had a civil war within Bitcoin that nobody really knew about. I mean, you had half of the devs saying, let's prune these, let's get rid of these BRC20 tokens and ordinals, and the other half saying, don't you dare, this is good for Bitcoin. So what are BRC20 tokens, what are ordinals, and how can we use this to our advantage to not only profit, but stay ahead of everybody else in crypto? And for that, we're going to be talking to Damon Nam, the CEO of ORNJ Wallet, a project I'm extremely bullish on and in it for the long term. By the way, did I mention that Damon and most of his team, they used to work for Microsoft?
Hey guys, I'm BRC20. Remember, Paul is not a financial advisor, but he is good looking. Also, this is not financial advice. Please subscribe down below and check out my channel at BRC20.
Damon, welcome to the Crypto Factor. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you. Super excited. And I'm looking forward to talking about BRC20 tokens, Ordinals, ORNJ token, and so much more. Thank you so much for being here, man.
Yeah, I love the energy, Paul. Thank you for having us. Really excited to be able to just share some of our insights and connect with you as well.
So I wanted to talk about ORNJ token because I'm super excited about that project. I mean, I was from the get-go. There's a lot of pluses and everything, but I also want people to understand what BRC20 tokens, ordinals are, what benefits it can do for them, and then we can look at what ORNJ is doing for those, if that makes sense. Since I do see ORNJ as let's call it Bitcoin DeFi, if you will. Would that be a fair assumption, a fair terminology?
Yeah, for ORNJ, that's effectively what we're focused on, what our mission is, building on Bitcoin and essentially an ecosystem of DeFi products and services that allow you to manage any Bitcoin or anything associated, such as the new standards on Bitcoin as well. So that's been our mission for over a year now, and we're highly focused on it and super excited to be alongside the gold standard in this market. As far as BRC20s are concerned, and would also love to get your feedback on this as well. So if we look at just kind of the history of that particular standard, that was launched almost about a year ago or so.
By mistake, though, right?
By mistake. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, the history, the story. But if you look at it, especially a few summers ago where we had DeFi summer and a lot of experimentation happening on Ethereum and all these alt chains and side chains, a lot of that activity was created in order to improve kind of the performance, the scalability, interoperability, and a lot of the challenges that Bitcoin had. Right. And so we saw a lot of activity that spurred then. And that also included huge energy around NFTs and, the launch of a lot of different collections. Even though NFTs on Ethereum have been around for a while, that's where we started to see a pretty big boom. And last summer, with the help of a lot of different creative minds, Bitcoin devs, and so on, I think they saw that as an opportunity to be able to bring some of that activity over to the best blockchain in our industry, right, which is Bitcoin. And so BRC20 is quite simply, if you look at it, are just an inscription on top of the normal Bitcoin blockchain that adds some extra metadata that's written into the block in order to record that metadata into the blockchain itself. So when you interact with ordinals or BRC20s or anything of that nature, you're doing it with the safety and security of the best blockchain in the world, which is Bitcoin. But these inscriptions allow us to be able to have some extra flexible information that you can attach to the blockchain that allows you to essentially make that particular block associated with maybe an image, a video, so on. And so, when BRC20s and ordinals were created, it was with the intent of kind of matching a lot of that activity that was happening with NFTs on the Ethereum and all these other chains, and bringing that over to Bitcoin. And we started seeing tons of other uh, collections launch on Bitcoin, a lot of BRC20 tokens, memes, etc. So it's great. It's great to see a lot of this experimentation happening on the best blockchain in the world, and it's quite ironic, right? Because if we look at it, Bitcoin was the first blockchain created,
Yeah.
and it's been around the longest. But yet, if you look at the tooling and the infrastructure and the things around it, it's still pretty new and nascent. And so huge opportunity, huge market. And that's why you're seeing so many players join in this space now.
Now, to play a little bit of devil's advocate, though, would you say that inscriptions or ordinals would slow down the Bitcoin network? Because we did see this in the beginning. There was talks about them wanting to get rid of them. Of course, then devs started jumping on the side of keeping them because they saw the potential of it. What's going on right now with that? Where are we exactly in that sense? Hey, Paul here, real quick. This video you're watching is not sponsored, so I guess it's sponsored by me. So if you want to work with me one-on-one or check out my courses, they're actually linked down below this video, where you can also find some valuable free webinars just for you. Please like this video and let's get back to the video you were watching.
Yeah, so I mean, let's think about it from just common sense in general, right? So if you use anything extensively, it's going to add congestion, right?
Yeah.
If a lot of people jump on the highway at 6 p.m. after they leave work, it's going to cause a traffic jam. And so the problem is not necessarily related just to inscriptions, BRC20 tokens, or anything. As usage goes up, even on Bitcoin itself, right? As we get more consumer adoption, the network's going to get congested regardless, which is also kind of a positive thing as well, because as you have more momentum, activity on something, it becomes more popular, it becomes widely adopted. The miners love it because it's a business model for them to make more money. So from our perspective, this is all healthy activity. And then BRC20s and inscriptions and all this experimentation that's happening on top of it is just adding to kind of the excitement of all that. So from my perspective, I don't necessarily see it as a problem. I think it's one of these things that actually helped us reverse course in terms of the sentiment of getting out of the bear market and into a bull, because we started seeing utilization go up, right? We started seeing more interest, activity. And to me, those are all positive things that are signals that display metrics of interest and things that we think are very positive for the industry.
But is there a way to speed things up or to find solutions for it to not be so congested?
Yeah.
Or is that
Yeah. Great question. And the answer has been to date for any chain, not just Bitcoin itself, but um, side chains and other scalable solutions that allow folks to maybe not interact directly on chain, but do things off chain or perhaps an alternate chain. So, we've started to see, especially in our business ourselves, a lot of activity around companies trying to develop a new layer two. The largest player in the Bitcoin space right now is Stacks. They've done a great job being able to provide alternate chain and develop an ecosystem around their particular chain to be able to execute transactions faster, more efficiently, et cetera. I think over the past 3 months, I've heard of probably about 10 or so new L2s that are expected to come up on the market this year. We are exploring that space as well. And so one of the solutions is being able to do things like that, where there's alternate chains where you can transact on and not directly on the layer one itself.
So when it comes to, would it be fair, let's talk about Orange Wallet a little bit, because I mentioned Bitcoin DeFi, we're getting into that realm. Would it be fair to say that Orange is the Metamask of Bitcoin?
That's our goal. Those are the aspirations. So, uh, ironically, as I mentioned earlier, Bitcoin has almost been kind of a stepchild to the industry because of its performance issues in the past. So a lot of activity and focus shifted away from it because of the slow transaction speeds. It's actually cheaper to transact on Bitcoin than even Ethereum. I mean, I was doing a transaction the other day and it was like almost 40 something dollars in gas because the Ethereum network was so
Oh,
congested.
that was cheap, man. You should have told me I can do my transactions. I've seen much higher.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and I've seen friends mint NFT collections, and depending on how the smart contract is written, gas fees can be in the thousands to do a batch mint. But anyhow, so I bring this up because if you look at the landscape today from a Bitcoin perspective, even the major wallet players on the market, there's some great builders out there, but there's not a household name. When you think of Ethereum, you immediately think of MetaMask, right, as the top
Right.
player. When you think of Bitcoin, especially for new consumers in the market, there's not one that really stands out. And so the market is wide open. We saw that as an opportunity, and that's why we went down the path ourselves of first developing our own wallet. And our aspirations are certainly to achieve the same type of success that MetaMask has been able to do. And we think we can do that just alongside not only user experience, but some of the creative things that we're doing to be able to make that experience even much more better.
So recently, talking about that, I saw that there is you can actually stake your Orange token in any other wallet and benefit. And I need to understand this. So, like, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So when we thought about staking, normally staking in our industry is in the context of loyalty. So
mhm,
we call it our Orange loyalty program. And the general principle and idea behind any loyalty program in general in real life is that as long as you are within someone's ecosystem, you should be rewarded for it, right? So like if you fly a particular airline, as long as you continue to fly with them, they reward you with miles or some sort of rewards. So being that everyone's accustomed to that model, we wanted to apply that same type of principles into our own loyalty program. Historically, within our industry, staking has kind of followed this model where, especially on Ethereum EVM type of projects, you send your tokens to a smart contract,
mhm.
you sit there, they earn a particular yield percentage, and then you get the same token back in return as a reward. The problem with that model is it's not really flexible because one, there's an issue with security. You might be sending it to we've seen smart contracts get hacked. We've seen teams drain the contract itself. And then on top of that, you're dependent and reliant on the word of the developer on this particular APY, this yield. It could be unreasonable, as we've seen in the past. And then it also dilutes the token at the end of the day because the reward is the native token. And usually things of free value tend to get sold immediately.
Yeah.
So when we thought about our loyalty program, we thought of it in the context of the traditional kind of loyalty programs that you see in the market. And so for us, the first priority was to focus on security. We didn't want anyone to have to send their tokens anywhere to be able
Mm.
to earn rewards. So for us, we created the subset of technology where we leverage our own indexer and we can recognize when you have deposited your tokens into your wallet. And then based upon them not moving, as long as they're dormant, then you start to accrue orange points. And the orange points give you the flexibility to redeem those as you would kind of, let's say with airline miles. With airline miles, you can redeem them for merchandise, you can redeem them for flights, you have a whole selection and there's a lot of flexibility there. And we wanted to apply the same principle there in our program as well. So, with us, you can redeem merchandise, you can redeem tokens from future Launchpad projects. We do have a revenue model component within our business, and at some point in the future, we want to share that with holders as well in the reward of Bitcoin. And then we also have a couple of projects that we're working on that will have its own native token, and you can actually select and earn tokens from those projects as well. So now it gives you a safe environment where you hold your own custody of your tokens. Very secure because you own it, you have the private key. And then on top of that, the flexibility of being able to choose whatever rewards you want to accrue, and it doesn't dilute your original value of your orange tokens. So yeah, we're extremely excited about it, and we've seen it's been a very positive and receptive response from our community. We've seen a high outflows from exchanges go into self-custody wallets as a result. And I think that's also attributed to some of the excitement and the price performance around the Orange token.
Nice. So right now I have some Orange tokens in my, I think it's Unisat wallet. Does it matter if they're transferable or not? Do you still get those rewards?
Yeah, so that's the other great thing about flexibility, right? When we think about blockchain, we think about freedom and sovereignty. And so we don't want to lock people into just our ecosystem itself if they don't want to, right? If people want to be able to transact and hold their tokens on, let's say, Unisat or Xverse, which are great products as well, they should have the freedom and flexibility to be able to do that. So you will still earn points even as you hold it in those particular wallets. Now, if at any point you want to leverage Orange Wallet, all of our wallets support the standard BIP39 standard. So you can actually import your seed phrase into ours, and
Oh,
then
nice.
your Orange tokens will be there, and vice versa. If you create an Orange wallet, your seed phrase is actually compatible and will work with Xverse and Leather and all those providers as well. So you'll accrue points no matter where you store them, as long as it's one of those supported providers. And then the way you redeem it is we're launching our Orange portal, rewards portal soon. And then from there, you would just connect your wallet. You'll actually see through our indexer how many points you've accrued. And then you'll have options. It's kind of like e-commerce experience where using your points, you
Right.
can actually see your rewards and things like
Yeah,
that.
that was my next question, by the way. How do you see the points that accumulated?
Yeah.
So is the Orange wallet available now, or is it still in test mode for people
Yeah, so
watching this video?
it's currently in beta. And so what that means is let me back up. So we've been developing it for close to about a year now.
Right.
Uh, and it's functioning on testnet, mainnet. In fact, it's my everyday wallet. But we haven't publicly released it yet because we wanted to make sure, even though it's non-custodial and we never have access to your funds, we also don't store any data. We don't have, you don't submit email address or any personal information. Um, so privacy, it's completely anonymous, et cetera. We wanted to make sure that we still protect our users as well as our company. All right. So we've undergone an audit with Hacken,
Mm-hmm.
which is one of the top security providers in the space. They recently did an audit. They came back with a report. There were some issues, luckily no critical issues, but there were some issues that they had recommendations for, such as, stronger password requirements and those type
Mm.
of things. So we're remediating those issues. We expect to have them actually done next week, where we submit our code back to Hacken. They'll do a final audit report, and then we'll go to immediate release, which means a much larger release where we have marketing behind it, and it'll be available through the Google Chrome App Store.
Nice.
And then we're going to support other browsers as well. But if anyone wants to try it now, it's in beta. It's a little bit more difficult to install because it's not on the Google Chrome App Store, but
Mm.
anyone can download it now from our website.
And will it be available later on in iOS as well, or no?
Yeah, so our path in terms of our roadmap specifically for the wallet will support Safari and Firefox
Mm.
browsers first. So we're very browser extension focused in the beginning, and then after that, then we expand out to iOS and then Android as well.
That makes sense because most people, if they're using DeFi and they do stuff like that, they want to do it on the browser. It's just a lot easier, and they can get things unlocked
Yeah,
online on a mobile. It's not just there yet.
yeah, exactly. And then on top of that, it's just from a development perspective, when you start supporting too many platforms at one time, uh, it becomes very costly and time consuming. So for example, if you have a bug early on, and you want to fix it, if you're supporting multiple platforms, it could be 5 different changes, right? So,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, somebody from my group earlier on, by the way, there's a link down below for that VIP group, but somebody from my group wanted to ask a couple of questions, and one of the questions is, when Orange Lambo?
when Orange Lambo, I love it. Yeah, the answer will be when you buy one, Paul. When are you gonna buy one, my friend?
I'm more of a SUV guy, but now they have Lamborghini SUVs, so we'll see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you can get the Urus, right?
Right. And the other
And ironically though, I've never so I live in Dubai now, and I moved here a couple years ago, and I've never sat in a Lamborghini up until probably a few months ago, and it just happened to do it because one of my friends, he owns a car dealership here. Um, but yeah, I had never set foot inside of a Lamborghini until recently.
but you
And
know
and I
what?
I, I got some age. I got some age. People,
You look
I'm
very young, by the way.
appreciated. Approaching 50, but
Okay,
appreciate.
so I'm 46 and you look younger than me, so there you go.
Yeah, we're the same age, right? I
Right.
turned 47 in a couple months, so.
All right, cool. So when talking about Orange Lambo here, jokes aside, because that was the question I got in my group, believe it or not. Um, it's kind of like it would suit the marketing and branding purposes of the company to have an orange Lambo with a pill on it and your whole branding there and everything. It's gonna be done for an event or something.
It's so interesting. So we have an event coming up in April. It's a side event to Token 2049. And someone mentioned that as well. They were like, it'd be
Mm,
great branding. You could have like an orange Lambo at the bottom, put the URL on it, and as people are coming into the venue, they can see that would be a great marketing piece. So yeah, I think it's genius, and I think we might do something like that to that effect.
nice,
But yeah,
nice.
great idea.
The other thing somebody asked
Just
is,
let us borrow yours, Paul, if you don't
I don't
mind.
have
If
a
you can.
Lambo. I don't have a Lambo. um, will you list on Binance and or any other exchange?
Um, so that is our aspiration, right? Binance obviously is the largest centralized exchange in the market, and everyone, that's the gold standard. And so we definitely have aspirations to be listed there in the future. The great thing, and one of the things that was a priority for us, was that we wanted to make sure that when Orange token hit the market, there was a lot of availability and accessibility, because BRC20s,
Yeah.
it's not an easy experience, right? And especially for the non-sophisticated crypto audience. So when we launched Orange, there was 4 centralized exchanges that actually launched with us on our launch
Mm.
date. Something we're very proud of, because as you're fully aware, it's not easy to get a centralized exchange listing. That
No, it's
usually
not.
comes, yeah,
And
it comes further.
it's not just about money either. It's a whole bunch of things that you have to take care of.
Yeah, exactly. And so for us, it was months of work to be able to secure these, as well as even leveraging existing relationships. Fortunately, we were listed on 4 off the bat. We've grown to 7. We have 2 more no, 3 more this month. So it'll bring us to a total of 10 within our first 2 months of the token. So having strong liquidity as well as availability was a priority for us. We are in talks with all the tier 1 exchanges right now, non-US that is. So the Bybits, KuCoins, OKX, and Binance. We have relationships with all of them. With Binance particularly, we're actually kicking off a campaign with them tomorrow.
Hmm.
They're trying to catch up with OKX in becoming a leader in the Bitcoin space.
Right.
They recently launched their inscriptions market. They recently listed us there. They've asked us to highlight Orange and do a campaign with them for a week, where we're going to do a few AMAs, do marketing together, collaborations. And so that's happening starting tomorrow.
Nice.
Um, from there, they've also asked us to extend our relationship and support their Web3 wallet and all of our dApps, which will help support as well. And, we also have some other things planned on the road. So what I would say is we're working with them to drive a deeper relationship, so that, we can continue our level of collaboration together. Um, but yeah, we obviously have aspirations to make sure that
Nice.
Orange is there at some point.
But the Orange Wallet, it does have, or remind me, does it have a swap feature inside the wallet where you can actually swap from BRC20 into Bitcoin, or not yet, or is that a plan that it's coming?
It does. So even our early build right now has it, particularly on mainnet. And so we actually leverage a partner to help us execute those swaps. And it's Alex Labs. So a
Okay,
partner that we,
perfect. Oh,
yeah, they're OG Bitcoin builder. And we leverage a SDK from them in order to be able to execute it. We're building out our own solutions as we speak as well, but at present, it is supported in the Orange wallet via Alex Labs.
nice, nice, perfect. And what are your plans for the wallet? What's next? What's coming? What can we get super excited for?
Yeah, great timing on this too. And I don't want your audience to think all of this was planned because it literally wasn't, right? I think our conversation just came together organically, but
Right.
it just happened to align with a lot of these milestones, including, the Binance stuff. But today we're making a pretty big announcement and showing off a demo of our Orange Assistant. And
Mm.
this is what we think will really differentiate ourselves from any competitor in the wallet space in general, not just on Bitcoin. And so what Orange Assistant does is we leverage natural language processing
Mhm.
and AI in order to improve and make
Are we
the
talking about an AI agent where you can actually tell them to actually execute as well?
both, both.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll give you some examples of use cases, and I get really geeked up and amped up about this because we really haven't seen these done. But for example, we see this world and envision a world where in the future you don't necessarily just point and click, right? You don't go to your
Mhm.
browser extension and you point and click and you go through a few steps to execute transactions and so on. What we envision is being able to interact very naturally through voice or text,
Mm.
right? Similar to you and I just having a conversation. So let's take a look at some of the use cases that we can do, right? So we feed it our own language models and we feed it financial information that we have, stored, where you can ask your assistant things such as, what's the 24-hour trading volume on Binance?
Mm.
So instead of you going out and searching for that information, you have it at your fingertips, right? Where it starts to get more valuable is your personal information, right? You can ask, okay, what were my last, or when was the last time I sent Bitcoin to John? And instead of going through your wallet, thumbing through transactions, or even worse so, looking on a blockchain explorer,
Yeah.
you can have that information at your fingertips, right? Where it really gets powerful is when you can execute financial transactions. And so in today's demo that we're going to be showing, you can type in or you can even use your voice and say, send $100 Bitcoin to paul.btc. And when you do that, it takes you immediately to the confirmation screen. And then you can confirm, using the browser extension. In the future, you can confirm via your phone and then done, the transaction's sent. And that's a far less smaller barrier to entry for the average consumer. It's less intrusive. It's a much more easier experience. And so this is where we think by utilizing some emerging technology, we can really take advantage of making that experience much more efficient.
Nice, nice. Okay, so a lot of things coming for Orange Token and the Orange Wallet. Let me ask you a couple of things about you, Damon. I want to know a little bit more about you, the person behind Orange Token. Um, if and I want to start with this. If I met you in high school, what would I think about you? Who would Damon be?
Oh man, great question. So I've evolved quite a bit since my earlier days. I've always been competitive, but back then I was extremely competitive. Um, so one thing I think that I've developed a very strong reputation on is a person that works very hard, have a strong work ethic.
Mm.
Pulled that from my parents who, migrated from Vietnam to the US with having nothing, right? And seeing them work so hard to be able to provide for our family. So strong work ethic, huge competitive passion that will never quit. So one thing I've been through a lot of adversity challenges through my life, especially during that time of my life as well, especially with my family. And despite all those challenges, we never gave up, we never quit. And I think that's one of the reasons why we've been able to obtain a certain level of success within our endeavors and the things that we do. So yeah, if you met me in high school, a diehard, passionate guy that extremely competitive and will works very hard and will never quit.
When did you get into crypto? How did you first get into crypto and Bitcoin? Was it Bitcoin?
Yeah, it was Bitcoin. 2013, started exploring
2013,
mining.
okay. Respectable.
Yeah, started exploring. Well, with that being said, I was just dabbling around, right? I didn't get, so I'm not a whale or a millionaire and of that nature, but dabbling around and getting excited kind of about the opportunity with mining and all,
Hmm.
and then and just continue to follow crypto and blockchain for a while, and then in 2017 decided to go all in. What about you? When did you get in?
2017.
Ah, nice, nice, good time.
2017. I just beat cancer the first time. I got out of hospital. I was working as a coach in a telecommunication company, training them in sales and stuff. And I always wanted to get in Bitcoin. I didn't know how. And the owner of the office of the firm's his best man knew about Bitcoin and everything. And as soon as he said, yes, I don't remember the conversation, but he mentioned Bitcoin. I'm like, hold up, show me everything you need. Show me everything I need to know. So we set up an account in Bittrex at the time, and
Oh,
I bought
nice.
my first Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. I got hooked to the point where I couldn't concentrate. I was just hooked because it was in the right before summer, I believe. So I was really hooked. I started reading. I started going crazy, and I'm like, you know what? This is what I want to do. I want to get into the industry. I recognize trends, and I'm like, this is a unique opportunity here.
Right.
So after my contract finished with them, I cold called my way into becoming a marketing director or CMO of a company in Poland called Experty. I moved over there against my doctor's orders, but at the time, and I started working there in Experty, and then everything started. Wrote my first book on crypto and so on. So that's how
Amazing.
I got in, and I was working in the industry till last year, where I had cancer again, and I just couldn't continue working in the industry. I didn't want the stress. I didn't want anything like that. So I started working what I do now, basically. Especially when I got out of the hospital, there was nothing I could do anyway. I couldn't go anywhere or do anything or have the energy. So I focused on this, and now I do one-on-one coaching. I have my little group, my little Telegram group, and I just do YouTube.
Amazing. I always love to hear others people's journeys because it's so interesting, right? Especially how people really jumping into this industry. It's really nice.
It's a beautiful industry. It's great people. People generally are helpful, not like other industries. It's easy to get in touch with people if you really want to. Everyone's willing to help. It's such a different mentality. So I think I fell in love with the people in crypto more than crypto itself. Because while, okay, there are bad people in all areas, it seems like there's more good people in crypto.
Oh,
Yes, you
absolutely.
get the bad players. Yes, you get the scammers. Yes, you get annoying people in the comment section. But in most part, you get to meet a lot of good people that genuinely want to help. They're not afraid to share success, which is something very important. Most people don't like that. They feel they want to be on top of you, above you. They have that
Right.
complex. But in crypto, no, it's like, let's succeed together.
100% agree with you. And it's one of the reasons why I fell in love with the industry as well, because there are bad apples, but the majority of the apples are good in this industry. It's just oftentimes the bad apples tend to voice their opinion a little bit louder, right? But
Mhm.
overall, I mean, a lot of folks within our industry, they follow this ethos of what blockchain represents, which is, again, freedom and sovereignty and being able to uh, operate outside of the boundaries of what we've been accustomed to growing up, right? And
Right.
so I love it because previously we used to have these wealth gaps that existed.
Mm.
And on top of that, we had these barriers to be able to gain access to specific networks. Now it's a fair game, right?
Yeah.
And crypto allows us to be able to break down a lot of those barriers where uh, a lot of people can become very wealthy. A lot of people now have access to different asset classes and things that they traditionally never had access to. A lot of people have access to networks globally um, that are easier to get into than what existed in the past. And so now it's not just this closed environment and boys club that traditionally existed, especially with banks and different wealth classes. It's just opening up everything and it's changing the game, and that's why the power of communities are so strong, and
Mm,
people are willing to help each other and all those things. So yeah, it's one of the reasons why I love it as well.
right. It is an amazing industry. I mean, it really is. And we could go on about that all day, actually, just that alone. I'm trying to avoid it.
Yeah, well,
So
it's one of the reasons why the governments and the banks are against it, right? Because now it's intruding on their territory, on their wealth, et
it's all
cetera.
about
And
control.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And to the extent to where everyone has an even playing field now, that's a beautiful environment in our opinion.
And the funny thing is that it's not just an even playing field. I would say we have the advantage, at least
Yeah,
in most part. And as more people and more people get into it, it's gonna become more apparent. It could save lives. Crypto can
yeah.
save lives. I've heard stories about crypto. It's literally saving lives.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
um,
Yeah, transferring value. I remember I've sent funds while on a plane,
mm,
right? And so not specifically in my case was I, maybe saving a life or anything, but I know of instances where I've heard people being able to send value and funds very, very quickly, as opposed to wire, which may take a lot of, red tape, a lot of days to process, whatever. In
if
emergency
if
situations,
you're
that's
lucky, because you might not even be able to send it. You might not be able to get a bank account. You might be in a country
fantastic.
where you just like it. And people tend to think about people that say that Bitcoin has no value and stuff like that. They tend to be from countries where they haven't lived through, or haven't been can't be open-minded enough to realize there's other people out there as well. It's not just about them. And it's there's workers in Philippines that go all the way to even to was it Dubai, from Sulaymaniyah to Dubai, whatever, and they need to send money back home, and they can't. But crypto or Bitcoin especially makes this possible.
Yeah, absolutely. The people that argue that Bitcoin has no value, from my perspective, it's two audiences, right? It's one audience that doesn't understand economics and the principles of
Exactly. Exactly.
supply and demand, right? Because even baseball cards have value.
Right. Right.
So, if there's demand, there's value. And then the second audience are the people that do not want to support it because it threatens them in some sort of personal way, whether financially, whether their business or whatever the case may be. But the reality is, and we've already seen it happen time and time again, especially through these bull markets, uh, it's a recognized store of value that is a great way to transfer value, and it's here to stay.
Yeah.
There's no going back, right?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
either you adopt it or you're going to get left behind. And institutions are starting to see that trend and they're supporting it. I come from the U.S. and I'm embarrassed to say that I think the U.S. is going to be behind, and from a technological advancement perspective because of their strict regulation of not supporting it. But it is what it is, and yeah,
Exactly.
it's here to stay.
I'm in Europe, so I totally understand.
Yeah, yeah.
Even
I
though I
mean,
think Europe's a little bit better than the States when it comes to this, but still.
oh yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely better than the states here, and the U.S. in particular, it's a lot of the resistance is because of political agendas as well. So you have that type of interference,
Let's
but
see what happens
I'm,
if Trump comes out, man, in the elections. And I don't want to turn this political, but I don't know if you heard him talk a couple of things. It was a couple of days ago. He was talking about how in the beginning he would say, and yeah, the dollar, it's the strongest. That I believe in the dollar, and I wasn't really into crypto, but now I'm still positive of the dollar. But I saw what crypto can do, and I sold these sneakers, and these sneakers sold some of them for 600, 750,000, and he just
yeah,
literally just shilling Bitcoin, crypto, and
yeah,
Bitcoin.
yeah. I mean, he'd be the first president if he gets elected to have his own NFT collection that's already out, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly. Re-elected as well. Even no one's gonna beat
reelect, yeah,
that. Because
exactly.
well, he likes
No,
Dogecoin.
Yeah, we we have a special guest. I
Yeah,
love it. I
yeah,
love it.
that's Diaz. That's
Yeah.
it's the Greek for Zeus.
Oh,
Mm.
interesting. Nice, nice.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I'm curious to your take though, Paul, as we kind of wrap up here, where do you think the market's going to go? Where obviously the sentiment has changed from what it was months ago,
mhm.
and starting to see, good support and an uptrend in terms of the market sentiment and performance. Curious as to what your take is over the next, couple years and what's going to happen.
So I'm gonna make a lot of people sad right now, but they're gonna be happy if they actually listen and understand what I'm saying. So it's funny because I was asked this on Around the Blockchain a couple of years ago, and I called 15.6K before it got there as the bottom, and I won a bet with Gareth Soloway on it. And I said in the beginning of 2023, people are going to start recognizing that that was the bottom, and in hindsight, they're going to say that's the bottom, and now we're entering a bull market, and that's exactly what happened. I did say 40, 50K by the end of 2023. That happened. And now I'm seeing something that may be a bit scary in the sense that we might have a shorter, and this is not 100%, obviously. Okay, just prior success doesn't dictate future expectations. But I actually see this might be a shorter bull market than most people expect. Not that it's not going to go as high or even higher. I just see that the top of the top will be in late 2024, beginning 2025. Now, when I say the top, I don't mean that altcoins might not rally a little bit or anything. I'm just saying the top will be in. And I'm basing this on a couple of things. One of them is the rally. We're having a much faster rally, much more aggressive rally. And so far the dumps or the pullbacks haven't been that hard. All right. I was expecting a 20% pullback the other day. We had 10% or 14% on some exchanges, for example. But I was looking for a 20, 40% pullback. Not that it's going to happen 100%, but I know that a few of them are going to happen in this bull market. The second thing is people are all very bullish because of cutting interest rates.
Right.
But if we look at historically, after hiking rates so much, when they actually cut, this leads to a recession. Now, this can happen now, it can happen in summer, it can happen after the summer or at the end of the year, cutting rates, I mean. I believe it's going to happen after the elections because we have an election year, and that might mark the top. I'm not saying it's going to dump the next day and we're all going to be running around screaming, but there is a thesis in the sense that Bitcoin, even though is decoupled from the stock market, it's not, especially not anymore with the ETF, because the ETF now makes it more coupled to stock market swings and prices. So if we have a crash in the stock market, I do think that it's going to affect Bitcoin as well. And a lot of people are saying, oh, now we have the ETF, it's going to be different. That scares me. When people start saying this time it's going to be different, that scares me. And if it is going to be different, it's going to be different in the sense that it's going to get everybody off guard.
Yeah.
And everyone thinks that, a lot of people think, not everyone, obviously, that the Bitcoin ETF, you need to buy the underlying asset. And while that's true, and they have a custodian, in this case, Coinbase, holding it, and while it's true, you don't really sell that underlying asset, if enough selling and more supply is there than demand, then they're going to need to sell. Of course, they avoid it. There's other things you can do until then, but if it's a recession, I'm pretty sure it's going to go down. And look at all the other ETFs out there. They drop in price. Why is Bitcoin any different?
Right.
So,
Yeah, I love your take on this because a lot of people, especially in this space, they don't really observe the macro.
mm,
Uh, they don't really observe what goes on in the world outside of kind of the bubble of crypto. And sounds like you have a very strong pulse on that, but I agree with you completely. And it's funny, we met with a private equity firm this week, 2 days ago, that was interested in investing in us. and they had very similar take, very
Mm.
similar views. And I agree with you 100%. It's highly correlated. And it's highly correlated because when it comes down to it, stocks, equity, any asset class, if the market's suffering globally, it comes down to liquidity. Right? It doesn't matter what asset class you're in. Real estate can go down, stocks can go down. Sure, some things are going to be a better store of
Yeah.
value and might not go down as quickly. But when people need money, as we saw during COVID and all that, everything went down. Everything's highly correlated, and it comes down to liquidity. So I agree with you completely. If the macro level happens, I mean, there's a cusp. We still have conflict going on in different nations. There's talk about China invading Taiwan. China real estate is under risk with what's going on with Evergrande. I mean, there's a lot of macroeconomic factors that could potentially impact the market. And if that happens, everything is correlated, and that certainly would impact crypto as well.
And then we could even have a shorter bear market after that, but I don't want to get into that real quick because it's
Yeah.
way too soon. But it's there's a few things. I don't look at news. I hate news events. I think there's news for the classes and news for the masses. We only get news for the masses. There's no reason to look at news at all. Show me the charts, I'll tell you the news. I'm more of a chart person. I do look at macro, I look at sentiment a lot. When I see too many people wanting to become rich that don't deserve being rich at the same time, I know this sounds rude. I'm like, okay, let it go. Something's wrong there.
It's
Because
true.
it's impossible. Not everyone in the world's going to become rich. That was my whole argument with XRP. They all think they're going to wake up and become zillionaires because they think it's going to go to 10K, which is not
Right.
going to happen. So
Yeah.
I look at a lot
When
of
you
that,
start
but
hearing, yeah, when you start hearing, and this happened a few years ago, when everyone was starting to say win Lambo, and you
right,
started
right,
seeing
right.
people posting photos of Lamborghini and all that stuff. It's it's a bad signal.
It is exactly, and I remember distinctly when in the last bull top, I think it was the last bull top. I had a friend. I buy and sell gold coins a lot of times and different things, and he's a gold person. Like he's really into gold, all right.
Right.
And he never understood Bitcoin. He never understood cryptocurrency. He was always against it. But we talked. But like we would always be a bit competitive with each other. And I remember, I think it was a couple of weeks before the top. He actually called me and said, "Paul, I want you to show me how to buy shit coins." He literally said shit coins. This guy, and like, how does he know this? And I try to tell him, listen, maybe you want to get into Ethereum because if we break the all-time high, we're gonna have a continuation. We're looking at this level. I started explaining the double top because I called the double top before it got there as well. And he was like, no, I want to buy shit coins. And for me, I literally said to myself, exit all markets. Like, that was it. That was one because I was unsure before that, but as soon as I heard that, and then I had friends calling me up asking about crypto. I used to be in the entertainment business. I had different singers call me up all of a sudden that I haven't talked to for years asking about crypto. I'm like, and they haven't talked. They just saw my channel. They saw a post or something. They started calling me. I'm like, this is too much. Everyone's in crypto now. They're gonna get wrecked.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that said, that does not mean that Bitcoin can't decouple. I just think it's going to be a short-term dump, at least for Bitcoin. And yes, it will retain its value better. And also, we might have a shorter bear market after, or we might not. It might play out perfectly, right? As we expect. But that does not mean there's not money to be made, Bitcoin to be made, projects to be made. There's so much to be made. And the other one more thing, I don't consider the markets have anything to do with the economy. So if you notice a lot of times what you logically expect markets to do, they don't. I'm a bit of a contrarian, by the way. So when they were invading Ukraine and everything, I said, okay, I didn't want that to happen or anything, but I said Bitcoin's going to go up, right? And I actually have, and it did. And it's a lot of wars and stuff. If you see the stock market goes up, so it's not like the war itself. It's more of the collateral damage after, with the interest rates, with the economy, not the economy, but see, I'm not an expert in this, so I can't articulate exactly what's going on. But I don't believe that the markets are the economy. The markets have a life of their own, and if you try to apply too much logic, you're gonna get wrecked, because simply it doesn't go by your logic. Otherwise, everybody would be rich. Because let's face it, I mean, if it was logical, we'd all be making money.
Oh, of course, of course. Oh, it's logical for the people that run it, right? The one
Mm.
percenters of the world, the huge, the billionaires and the the equity firms that really kind of manage a lot of the liquidity in the markets. But uh, I agree with you completely, right? So
But
I
we've
think
seen
personally,
even colossal firms collapse, dude. We've seen, I'm not even
oh yeah,
talking about
that's true.
Lehman Brothers. I mean, there's not too far, not too long ago, we had four banks,
Yeah,
right? It's,
yeah.
even,
I mean, we had one in the U.S. fail last week, another regional,
really?
right? Yeah,
Which
and
one?
I forgot the name of it. It
Wow.
wasn't huge or anything of that nature, but if you remember, I think it was almost a year ago where we had a few fail in the US. So, yeah, I completely agree with you there. Nothing sure proof, that's for sure.
Yeah. So again, I'm looking at if the general market affects this bull market, um, at least when it comes to all other cryptocurrencies other than Bitcoin, that's for sure. Bitcoin itself, even gold, usually even in a major crisis, usually falls then goes up. It's not like it just goes up. Like there's
Right.
there's usually something like that. So let's see what happens. I mean, we can react, right?
Yeah, and I mean, you bring up a great point because I think a lot of people, especially when they come into this market and they see a lot of the price performance, especially over the past few months, they think it's linear. It just
Yeah,
continues. And
yeah,
that's not healthy. I mean,
yeah.
nothing continues to go up. At some point, it'll go down. And I'm with you on that. I think we're going to see, some healthy adoption, especially driven by institution heading into the halving. I think the summer will cool down as it traditionally does. I think there's some macroeconomic factors that will kind of keep us at bay or maybe sideways even through the fall and whatnot. But at some point, we'll see some retraction. So it'll appear to be kind of a shorter bull market, but
Mm.
overall, zoom out. I don't think that retraction is going to be huge because I think it'll get scooped up by
Yeah,
ETF.
yeah, yeah. No, that's very possible. Yes. Also, one thing I want your opinion on, since we're talking. What would you say if I told you that we may have, and of course I'm going to say may have, not to protect myself, because that's the only logical way to talk about markets. You don't know 100%. But what would you say to we may either have a pullback around the AI conference in NVIDIA as a sell the
Mhm.
news event, and if that's not a sell the news event, then the Bitcoin halving itself might become a sell the news event. And I'll tell you my thesis why, real quick.
Yeah, yeah. I'm very
So
curious.
altcoins right
Well,
now,
before you jump into
right?
that, I think that's super interesting. Haven't thought about that. But I will say, I mean, the run up, especially with NVIDIA and the whole AI space has been, very, very strong. So yeah, very interesting. I'd love to hear what you think.
So AI right now is pulling cryptocurrency, right? I mean, the AI coins are going crazy, and this helps the crypto markets in whole. It's like the stock market. You got a couple of companies going up, it kind of helps everything else, right? It makes it seem good. Now, the thing is that in about it's now on the 18th, it's not even 2 weeks, it's 1 week. I've been talking about this for a while. You have the NVIDIA event. And today was supposed to be the upgrade for Ethereum. There's an Ethereum upgrade that's supposed to lower fees for Ethereum and layer twos. I think it's called Denkan. I can't remember the actual name. I know that doesn't sound very professional, but I don't remember the name. Um, if that works out great, it actually might even amplify the markets, as ERC20 tokens are going to take more life. and probably market share. Because another thing I've noticed is YouTubers, they were talking about gaming so long, now they're starting to talk about AI. So now you can maybe, if the upgrade goes well and everything, then the whole market, the ERC20 tokens start going up. A lot of gaming companies are on ERC20. So if this all happens and we go up fast, and we are going up fast, the NVIDIA event may actually be a sell the news event, because right after that, what is AI anticipating? And people that think this way, it might even become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now, if that doesn't happen and it actually continues going up, well, we're talking about a major alt season. But after a major alt season, it has to end. Now, what would keep this alt season going? The Bitcoin halving expectation. But once that's out the way, that becomes a sell the news event. Now, people are saying, well, you're talking about Bitcoin halving, that's bullish for Bitcoin. Yes, but usually the price goes up a few months after, not on the day of the Bitcoin halving. That's the mistake everybody makes in every single bull market.
Right. Yep.
So that's what I'm looking at. I'm not saying it's 100%, but there are probabilities of this. There is a thesis to it.
Yes, and it's been proven before, right? I mean, it's one of those, it's buy the rumor, sell the news as well. So a lot of activity in all of this run up is in anticipation of the halving. And I think, as you're describing as well, I think we'll probably see something similar to that for
Right.
sure.
So let's see
I'm
what
expecting
happens.
it. I'm expecting it as well, in fact.
Awesome. Damon, so great talking to you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you. Is there anything you want to tell our audience as we wrap up?
Yeah, no, thank you for having us. It was a great discussion, great conversation. Always like to get insight from other experienced people in this industry as well. Sincerely appreciate it. If anyone wants to find out more information about Orange, just feel free to visit orangecrypto.com.
Links are here.
We have, yeah, great information about our ecosystem, our products, as well as very solid documentation on all of that, where you can learn more as well. So, hope to be able to connect again in the future, and hope to also have more people join our ecosystem.
Thank you so much, Damon. Take care. Bye-bye. Look, BRC20 tokens and ordinals are not going away. They're here to stay, and Orange will not only contribute to this, but in my vision, may even lead Bitcoin DeFi into the future. I know that sounds very bold and very big, but I really do believe in this project, and I really do believe in the team. Now, if you want to know more about the Orange token and the wallet, make sure you watch this video here. You do not want to miss this video. Make sure you watch that video here. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.